Hi guys, here's Muskie B. Just thought I'd give you a little intro. Hi Muskie B. He's mean, but he said he wanted to say hi. Okay, okay, goodbye. Well, hello. Welcome to week 2. And so the goal is that you're watching this on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or maybe Monday if you have me on Tuesday. And then you're gonna try the problems on your own, come to class, and then maybe you'll have some questions and we can work together. All right, let's get started. So this problem is going to be almost exactly like the problem that we did last week. Slightly different numbers, slightly different situation. So try to pay attention to the patterns that are developing here. All right, so it says Grandma McGregor loves to bake her grandson cookies and brownies. On a Sunday afternoon, she is baking a batch of delicious cookies and then she shut off the oven. She left the oven door open so it would cool down faster. Okay, so side note, I also do this. I call it free heat. So if you're already cooking and your oven is warm, why wouldn't you just leave the oven open and heat your kitchen, make like a toasty little kitchen out of the deal? Anyway, so 10 minutes after turning off the oven, so whenever you see something that is time, probably X, so gonna highlight that in green, the temperature was at 300 degrees. And at 14 minutes, the temperature is at 250 degrees. Makes sense. Like every, 4 minutes, the temperature drops about 50 degrees. Makes sense if you're leaving your oven open. It says the temperature of the oven varies linearly with the amount of time that has passed. So that's just a fancy way of saying that every time the temperature goes down, it's the same amount of minutes. Or another way to say that is that every time 4 minutes has passed, it goes down 50 degrees. So linear means that the slope stays the same, that the change is the same. All right, so it says next, what are the 2 coordinate points that you can write from the information given in this scenario? So remember, coordinate or coordinate points is a fancy way of saying 2 points, 2 sets of information that have an X and a Y. It's basically like a snapshot of what's going on in the scenario. So the first snapshot is that after 10 minutes, we have 300 degrees, and after 14 minutes, we have 250 degrees. All right, then it says the X coordinate represents, and it says that the Y coordinate represents. So, again, we talked about this in class. The word represents means in real life. And the coordinates are, as we can see from the story, 10 minutes after turning off the oven. So it's minutes after oven off. That's my lazy way of saying minutes, basically. But when we talk about later things that are going on in the question, minutes after the oven is turned off is going to be important. All right, so then Y coordinates represent. So what do the Y part of the point represent in real life? The temperature has dropped to 300 degrees, temperature has fallen to 250 degrees. So it's the temperature of the oven. And we could say, it doesn't say it in this, but we know that ovens are generally in Fahrenheit. And so we're going to abbreviate that by writing degrees Fahrenheit because we're fancy and also we're lazy. The best mathematicians are so lazy. All right, so now that we have 2 points and we understand what's going on in the problem, we can say we are going to calculate the equation of a line. Find the equation of a line. Whenever we see something that says find the equation of a line, we know we're going to set ourselves up for success with y equals blank x plus blank. All right, so the first step into filling in these blanks is to find the slope. Remember, the slope is represented by the letter m, and we find the slope first by using the slope formula. Again, if you need more help on this process is not the easiest process. We did this last quarter. It's okay if you weren't there. There's going to be a link in the description of this YouTube video. So go to the description, click on that link, watch a few examples, and then come back if you're confused on how to do this. So after you watch that, you're going to see that we're going to subtract the y's on top and subtract the x's on the bottom. And the y's on the top, the x's on the bottom, that is the strategy that we've been using. So we're going to do 250 minus 300 and 14 minus 10. So we're going to get negative 50 over 4. And I know it says here that we should convert to a decimal. I'm going to keep it as a fraction. I think we should keep it as a fraction for us. Okay, so then you can reduce this fraction in your head if you have those kinds of skills. If you don't have those skills, go to your calculator and we can put in the whole thing on our own. And we say equal, and then we turn it into a fraction by pressing the turn it into a fraction button. Let me see. Okay, that might be helpful. There, moved my face, I think. Okay, so press that, and we get negative 25 over 2. So we're going to leave it as a fraction for us. So we figured out how to fill in the first blank of our equation because we know that m is the slope. So we're going to put negative 25 over 2 in for m. The next thing we need to do is find the b value. Fill in the other blank. So how are we going to do that? Again, if you need some extra help with this, please, please, please watch the extra video. But for us, we're going to write y equals mx plus b. And we're going to fill in all the information that we have in this question. I always use the first point. The first point says x is 10. We know we just found the slope was negative 25 over 2. And we have the y value is 300 from the point. All right, let's plug it in. We have 300. We have m is negative 25 over 2. We know that when two letters are next to each other, it just means multiply. So we're going to put times 10 there. And then plus b, because b is what we want to find. So we just leave it as b. All right, so if you have multiplication in an equation you're supposed to solve, you got to do that first before you solve. If your multiplication with fractions skills are a little rusty, that's totally fine. You can just use the calculator. You say negative 25 over 2. You could have put the negative in front as well. Times 10. And we get negative 125. So we're going to rewrite the problem. And we know that now those two things multiplied is negative 125 plus b. Now we need to solve for b. This is a one-step equation, so it's not too hard. All we have to do is say plus 125. We're creating a 0 plus 125. Oops. And we're always adding top to bottom. So we get 425 is equal to b. And now, using our skills that we have with notability, I'm going to make that smaller so that it fits in. Sorry, little glitch there. So now we have solved for our b value, and so we have 425 is equal to B, and B goes there. So we have found an equation and we answered our question. We are done. All right, so let's go on, and we are going to finish the rest of this page. Just so you know, I'm going to pause after we finish the rest of this page, or the rest of this, and then we're going to have a second video. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. All right, so the y-intercept of our equation is our B value. And what does the y-intercept represent? It represents the starting value. And so we know that the B value that we just solved for is 425. And it is our starting value. And since it's a y-intercept, we know it has the same units as our y coordinate. So 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And so we need to figure out what this means in real life. What does it represent? So we want to make sure we make a sentence out of this. We're going to say the y-intercept represents the starting temperature of the oven at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So I want to point out some of the things that are really important about this in order to get it right. You need to understand that it's a starting amount, and you also need to understand that it is in degrees Fahrenheit. Lots of different ways to make a sentence about that, but the most important thing is that you understand that it's a starting amount and that it's degrees Fahrenheit. All right, the second part of the question says, what is the slope of your equation? Well, we know the slope is m, and so it is the m value. Looking at it just a little bit more deeply, the definition of slope is the y-intercept, or sorry, y units per x units. And let's break that down. So our y units are degrees Fahrenheit from our two coordinate values, and our x units are per minutes after the oven is turned off. So we're just going to say minutes. From the equation, we can see that it's negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit per 2 minutes. So let's write that as a sentence. We're going to say the temperature goes down 25 degrees Fahrenheit per 2 minutes after the oven is off. And again, there's lots of different ways to say this sentence, lots of different ways to get this right. The most important thing that you need to have in this sentence is that you understand it goes down because it's negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit, having a unit, per, understanding that's a rate, so for every, and then 2 minutes, having the x value, understand that the bottom of the fraction is a number of minutes, and then understanding that it's after the oven is off. So like relating it back to the original question and what's going on with Miss McGregor and her cookies. All right, so I'm going to stop here, and we're going to do the last 2 pages in another video. So please click on the Part B video to get the rest of the notes, and then you'll have to do the second problem on your own. So I'll see you in a minute.